And another myth is that when we meditate, that we're supposed to have this totally clear mind. And a lot of people think, again, from that place of self-compassion, they start judging themselves. They're like, oh my, I can't get still. I can't get my mind to calm down. I'm getting distracted too much. I'm failing at meditation. There is no failure to meditation. Like if you literally just sit and, you're using a guided meditation, you set that timer for 5 minutes, and you just sat there and you relaxed your body and you were aware of your breathing for a bit. That's meditation. And just knowing that every time you sit, that you will start to train your mind to just settle a little bit more each time. And your mind will always be producing thoughts. That's what it does. But again, the more you meditate, the thoughts won't be, it won't be like a full-on monkey party up in the brain. It will be, it will start to settle down to more like a cocktail party or something.
You're listening to My Evolved Life, a podcast that simplifies health and fitness and helps you maximize your life. My name is Vuna Nguyen, and I'm the creator of the Evolution Training System. We're so lucky to be living in the information age, meaning it's easier than ever to access information and find answers to any questions you may have. But isn't it confusing when you read information that's conflicting, or worse yet, just sounds wrong? I'll be sitting down with industry professionals to give you clarity and leave you with tangible actions you can take immediately to improve your physical, mental, and psychological health. Today's guest is Tracey Delfs. Tracey's life passion is to teach others how to calm their minds and how to live more in the present moment. Through her company, Balance Quest, she changes people's lives as a stress management and life coach, mindfulness teacher, and mental wellness workshop facilitator to employees, Olympic athletes, and the general public. In her time, she's worked with organizations like Shell Canada, the City of Calgary, Alberta Children's Hospital, as well as Canada's National Alpine, Freestyle, Biathlon, and Surf teams. And today, she's here to talk to us about meditation and finding presence and awareness. So with that, Tracey, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. I'm grateful to be here today with you.
So Tracey, just for some context, you and I met roughly about a month ago, and that was through the Junction program. And you had come in and you led a short 1-hour workshop where you talked about meditation. You put us through a little bit of a meditation workshop, kind of taught us the importance of meditation. You talked about how to be present, multitasking, or how it's actually very ineffective to multitask. And I took so much away from that. Now, the crazy thing is, since then, and again, just for that context, it's only been a month. But since then, the world has literally changed around us. So we are in roughly the third week of the COVID or coronavirus pandemic. And I believe that now more so than ever, finding presence, finding mindfulness is more important now than ever. So with that, I want to quickly turn it over to you. Before we actually get into any of the topics, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your history?
Sounds good. Well, my journey on mindfulness meditation began back in the 90s. I read a book by a Zen master named Thich Nhat Hanh, and it was called Peace is Every Step. And when I got to the end of the book, I decided that I wanted to study with him. So I'd never been to Europe before, and I hopped on a plane and went to a meditation mindfulness center called Plum Village in France. And I started to study with him. So he's a Vietnamese Zen master, and he has he originally back then had his meditation practice center in France. And then over the years, I traveled to Europe working with the various ski teams, and I would add on time to go on a regular basis and study with him at Plum Village, this mindfulness center. I really saw a huge difference in my own life by starting to bring more mindfulness and more meditation into my life, and then was really called to start teaching that to others. So in 2000, I started bringing it to retreats. I've now led over 60 mindfulness and meditation yoga retreats. I started to bring it into corporate settings, teaching public set classes, going online. And just I have seen a difference in so many people's lives, and as well as my coaching clients. I do mindfulness coaching, um, that I just feel so blessed that I get to share these teachings with others in so many different formats and to so many different populations. And I really agree with you that a time like now, I am so grateful for this practice myself, and knowing that I've taught so many other people in the practice so that they can really utilize it in their life now. Um, I find just starting every day right now, off of my meditation practice, it just really allows me to feel very solid and grounded as I move into the day. So I almost like to think about it like an old oak tree that has these solid roots into the earth. And so when the storms of the day come, or you're hearing bad news, or I'm talking to a friend and they're going through a really difficult time with COVID-19, it allows me to feel a lot more grounded and centered amongst the storm. So having worked with our national surf team, I like to think about practicing meditation and mindfulness like having a surfboard, so you can actually ride these big waves and challenges that are coming our way. So yes, I'm really grateful that you invited me here today so I can share some more of what I know with your people as well.
Absolutely. And when you and I first started having dialogue about this conversation, one of the things that I shared with you was my observation that mindfulness, meditation, awareness, these have sort of become buzzwords, if you will, in the industry where everybody's talking about them. But this is why I felt it was even more important to have somebody like you, who is a renowned expert in the field, to come in and talk about it. Not just about the how to's or what have you, but the true philosophy behind it, the theory behind it. So, before we actually dive deep into the specifics of navigating through COVID and Corona, let's talk about meditation in general. When you were giving us your intro, you were talking about how blessed you feel to be able to see the differences that you've made in your clients. Now, again, for context, I believe that you've coached thousands of people. Now, generically speaking, when you speak about these differences, what are those differences that you see?
Yeah, there's many differences for sure, but definitely one of the first things that people will notice when they start a regular meditation practice, just even within a couple of weeks, they'll notice their ability to respond in life versus react. So they'll notice that they'll be in a stressful situation that normally would have really triggered them, and maybe they would have got angry or really upset, and they're able to self-manage their emotions and self-regulate and not react to that situation, and instead they can just respond in a very coherent and clear way, which is very powerful, especially when it comes to relationships and stuff like that. Right now, with people being under so much stress, it's really easy for people to get triggered, and they might be yelling at the kids or spouses or getting upset quite easy. So just again, just having the power of the meditation and the mindfulness, with that ability to respond versus react, is one thing that people notice right away. People's sleep improves very quickly. A lot of that is to do with stress levels during the day. When we're feeling stressed during the day, we're releasing a lot of cortisol into our system, and that high cortisol levels will really impact our sleep hormones. So if you can decrease your stress during the day, you're going to sleep a lot better. As well, you'll be able to manage what we refer to mindfulness as the monkey mind. So if you wake up in the middle of the
Mm-hmm.
night and your mind's going, you have these different mindfulness and meditation techniques that you can use to help stabilize your mind, come back to the present moment, and go back to sleep. And it's just that ability to move through our days and our lives in the present moment is definitely another big gift of this practice as well. When we're actually in the moment, we can handle whatever's going on in our life. It's just when we allow our mind to go into the what ifs or anxieties and unknowns and fears of the future, or the would have, should have regrets of the past, that life gets to be too overwhelming and can really cause a lot of that anxiety. But when we get fully present, when we become aware of our breath, we become aware of our body, we become aware of our senses and get grounded into this moment, we realize that actually everything's okay in this moment. Even if you're in a really stressful situation, when you get very present, you have the ability to handle that moment. So that's another thing that mindfulness and meditation will do, is will really increase your ability to function in life from a coherent place, from the prefrontal cortex part of your brain versus from your amygdala or that limbic system of your brain that's just constantly in that fight or flight state, where it's really difficult to make decisions or trust your intuition, etc. So again, that ability to just stay really coherent, to stay way more focused, way more productive when we're in that place. And then health wise, it's going to help with your heart, your, any kind of gut issues. It helps with pain management. Just really decreasing stress in your body is going to help physically with everything. And yeah, so mentally, emotionally, physically, it's going to help you. And there's hundreds and hundreds of other benefits. But there's a handful of them that I've seen within myself and I've seen with people I've worked with. And I think another one that's super important is it actually increases your ability to just genuinely be more happy in your life. And when I say happy, it's not this outside in like woo kind of happiness. It's
Right.
actually just this genuine happiness of waking up every day and feeling grateful for another new day and feeling this sense of gratitude and joy for the simple things in your life. And that will lead to happiness for sure.
I completely concur. I was telling you that I am blessed to have a very regular meditation routine, and I've had one for years now. And one of the words that I really resonated with when we first met was you used the word grounded. I feel really, really grounded when I meditate. And I mean, I'm not perfect, so I don't meditate every single day. But so my meditation practice happens first thing in the morning, anywhere from 15 to 17 minutes. On the days that I don't meditate, about midday, I'm reminded right away that I have meditated because I feel on edge. Like it's just one of those weird paradigms. So, having that regular meditation practice in my life, I often engage in the topic of meditation with other people. And what I'm often shared with, so people will tell me, is they are so overwhelmed by the notion of meditation, either because of the language that is being used on social media or what they're reading on Google or what have you. But they find it so hard to focus. So, going back to that awareness, I find that nowadays, not only do we have super, super busy minds, but we are also subject to so much external stimuli. So nowadays it's ding, 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 notification, 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 such that it's so, so hard to find that presence. Now, speaking on that presence, how do you find presence in your day to day life? And how do you find your clients, your customers find presence?
Great question. Well, definitely what you said about the technology is I really try to move through my days with most of my notifications off. Unless I'm expecting certain phone calls or messages that I need to be watching for, I actually, for the majority of time, don't have my phone on silent mode. I try to turn notifications off on my computer. Sometimes they get turned on and then I need to try to figure out how to turn them off again. And I actually really, really limit the amount of exposure that I have um, to news, to social media, etc. So on my phone, I have limits set on my phone, or I'll even set a timer. If I'm going onto social media, I'll maybe set a timer for 15 minutes, and at the end of that, be done. We don't actually have television, but I think it's important to stay somewhat up to date of what's going on with COVID-19 and changes that are happening. But I literally will go on for 10 or 15 minutes a day and often just read the headlines, maybe watch the odd video news clip, but again, just really limit my amount of exposure, because I really believe that our mind is like food. And if we're always, eating a lot of candy or having too much caffeine or alcohol, that really affects our body. And if we're always overloading with too much stimulus from the outside, especially if you're quite an emotionally sensitive person, so too much news or too much social media or too many negative conversations, that will really impact our mind and kind of add to that, overloaded mind. So I know I'm quite extreme with how little time I spend in the social media and the online world. but that's what works for me. And on that note, I actually will be starting to go on and teach more online. So I will be on a bit more, but I still will limit my exposure to it. And instead, I fill myself up with positive nutrients, which is going outside in nature, which is having my
Mm-hmm.
regular meditation practice, exercising every day, connecting with family and friends on a regular basis through Zoom calls or whatever that might be, and just really being fully aware of what like adds to the mental wellness of my mind and what's taking away from that, making conscious choices about it.
Right. So I do want to take a step back into meditation. And the purpose really of this show, I don't know if I actually articulated this to you, but the reason I have this show is to really simplify information using experts, picking the brains of experts and simplifying information because again, going back to Google and social media, there is a lot of misinformation out there, and some of the good information is just a little bit too complex. So, one of the observations that I've made is when it comes to meditation, there's a little bit of a confusion as to what meditation actually is. Is it chanting? Is it mantras? Is it closing your eyes? Is it breathing, focusing on your breath? What is meditation to you in its most basic form?
Good question. Well, when I talk about meditation, I like to talk about it like music. And just like you described, there's many different kinds of meditation. You can do mantra-based meditation. You can do, you know, breathing techniques. Like there's various walking meditation, various kinds. But it's really about finding a technique, a tool that works for you. Just like certain people are drawn to different kinds of music, certain people will be drawn to different styles of meditation. The basis of meditation, though, is to take one object of concentration and to train your mind to be fully aware on that object of concentration. So again, for some people, it might be mantra-based meditations where they take a mantra and they either Sanskrit mantra or it could even be English words, and they just bring their full awareness to those words. Um, for myself and from the mindfulness meditation background, the object of concentration typically will be either your breath or your body awareness. And so you really focus on narrowing those outside distractions and bringing all of your awareness to the actual sensation of your breath flowing in and out or what you're feeling in your body. And then you can also take it off the meditation cushion or chair and bring it into the rest of your world where you bring, for example, if you're doing mindful walking, your object of concentration would be the feeling of your feet on the ground, the awareness of your breath as you're taking your steps, etc.
Yeah.
So to simplify it, it's just really about being very intentional about what your object of concentration is, and then to bring your awareness there. And to me, that's a simplified version of it.
It's so interesting when you say mindful walking. I feel like we could all use a lot more of that, especially nowadays. I happen to be one of those guys that harps on technology quite a bit, even though I use it a lot myself. But you see a lot of people walking heads down in their phone. I just feel like if we were more mindful about the way that we walk, where we're going, there would be a lot less pedestrian vehicle accidents. But that's an entirely different topic. Now, going back to that mindful,
Okay,
yeah,
can
go
I
ahead. Yeah,
just
yeah,
jump in and say what I just want to say one thing about the mindful walking.
yeah.
And I actually believe that if people are only going to do one thing to take care of their mental well being right now, I think getting outside and going for a mindful walk is probably the best medicine, especially if people are feeling really anxious or feeling depressed. Sometimes sitting in meditation might actually be quite challenging for them right now if they're feeling quite intense emotions. But when we go for a walk and we're just aware of our steps and we're aware of our breath and we're aware of what we hear and what we see and what we smell and what we feel, that will really ground you into the present moment, and will really you'll feel like your anxiety levels really drop. So I feel like it's one of the most powerful practices during this whole pandemic.
Right. And I do want to clarify what you just said there. And I think this is one of the reasons why meditation or the act of mindfulness seems so elusive to most people. I'm assuming that when you say a mindful walk, you're saying it could be as simple as a walk around the block. You don't have to drive an hour out to the mountains. It can be right there, right outside your house. Is that true?
For sure. And even if you can't go outside your house, so for example, some people are in quarantine right now, they just
Hmm.
got back from traveling, or they don't have the ability to go outside, or it's too cold or slippery, etc. You can actually do mindful walking indoors. And so it's actually called slow indoor walking and mindful walking, where you literally take one step with one breath and then you exhale. So you inhale and you exhale, and you can just do it up and down your hallway or just around the island in your kitchen. The one time that I will tend to do mindful walking indoors is if I wake up in the middle of the night and I have a lot of monkey mind going on and I can't turn it off with the different breathing techniques. I'll get up out of bed and just do like 5 minutes of mindful walking and get out of my head, get into my body, into the moment, and I'll always fall back to sleep.
See, that's amazing. And when you frame it like that, when you put it into that perspective, it immediately sounds a lot more attainable, right? You're it can be within your house. What I really liked, what you just said right there, what I really liked was you said 5 minutes. And actually, that's one of the questions that I had. So, just to preface this, before you and I went live, I did post on Facebook just to let them know that I am going to be interviewing a meditation specialist. And if they had any questions, to let me know. One of the questions I got immediately was, is 5 minutes enough or is that not long enough? So, what is your perspective on that?
So I definitely believe that 5 minutes is long enough. And why I believe that is, again, from teaching thousands of people over the years. I've seen people that have come to my classes or that I've coached one on one that have been only practicing for 5 minutes, but doing it every day and have totally noticed a difference in their life. And there also is research on it that 5 minutes will make a difference and start to actually change your brain and stuff in a positive way. Um, I also believe if you can go a bit longer over time, you will get even more benefits. So ultimately, if you can work your way up to 10 or 15 or 20, you will get even more, especially that feeling of feeling even more grounded and centered. But I really believe that starting off with 5 minutes or even 3 minutes is a great way to start. And then over time, you just naturally will want to sit longer because you'll start to crave sitting longer. And that's how I began meditating. I made myself sit for 5 minutes, and it felt like the longest 5 minutes. I'm like, am I done yet? Am I done yet?
Mm-hmm.
Am I done
Mm-hmm.
yet? And then now, if I don't get at least 20 minutes of meditation, I feel like I'm ripped off. So I worked my way up, and I love at least 20 minutes. If I can go longer, that's great. But 5 minutes will make a difference for sure.
And I think that is so key because, in some way, that is working your mental muscle, so to speak, right? Because it's just like exercise. If you're going from 0 to 45 minutes, the odds of you maintaining that as a lifestyle, I would say, are slim to none. You have to build that habit first, right? So you start with 10 minutes a day, 50 minutes a day, and should you start to build that consistency, get that snowball rolling, then you can slowly add on to that, right? Just like meditation. And it sounds like you're echoing that. You start small, you build that habit, and should you be able to find more, it's great. But don't go all in right from the start because you're not going to be able to sustain that. And 5 minutes a day for in perpetuity is a lot better than 45 minutes sporadically,
Yeah,
right?
100%. And that's the most important thing, is to keep up that consistency.
Yeah.
And I call it a daily ish meditation practice, because it's not going to happen every day. There's going to be days that you miss for whatever reason, but it's not about dropping it totally or thinking, oh, I'll start next Monday or the first of next month or the first of next year, I'll get back on track. It's about recognizing that you missed a couple of days and then just get back on track. And to really create the habit of meditation, you need to try to find a time during the day where you could do it on a regular basis. So you just literally slide that 5 minute meditation into part of your routine. So if it's in the morning, it might be right when you get up or right after you have your morning coffee or tea or right after you work out or have your shower. And so it becomes just like part of your day, just like you get dressed or you brush your teeth or have breakfast. It literally is part of your day. And so that you don't even need to think about it anymore. It's like you get up, you do this and this and this, and meditation is just part of that. Or it might be in the evening routine, whenever that might be. but definitely setting yourself up for success by just starting with that short meditation and remembering that we have 1440 minutes every day. So if you take 5 minutes out, you're still going to have 1435 minutes left. So when people say they don't have time to meditate, it's just that they're not making it a priority over an extra 5 minutes on Instagram or whatever it might be.
I really like the term that you, I think, coined there. I think you said daily ish. That is so, so important, especially given these volatile times and our minds are left and right. I just a few days ago, I had a conversation with a registered psychologist. You may have seen it. Her name's Cinder Smith. Very, very much the same philosophy. We need to start practicing that self compassion, right?
Mm.
If you don't happen to do it, that's okay. Forgive yourself, come back the next day. If you miss the next day, that's still fine. Go back the next day, right? Be kind to yourself. Acknowledging that, especially in this time, nothing's going to be perfect. Nobody is perfect, right? So just move on, restart. So I really want to touch on that monkey mind again because even for myself, even though I have a regular practice, there will be days where my mind is just jumbled. It's just a mess, right? But because I do have that practice, I know it's okay. I know that, hey, look, if I were to focus on my breathing or I do a little bit of body tracing, I can get back to that clear mind and get back into that meditative state. But that is not a reality for a lot of people who don't have that practice at hand. So I've heard a lot of people say, and this was one of the questions I got on Facebook as well, was what happens when I'm in the middle of my meditation? I get into this monkey mind, I get distracted, and I just want to get up and leave. How do you promote staying that extra 2, 3 minutes when you get distracted?
Good question. Well, one thing that I like to tell people is a lot of people say, oh, my mind's too busy to meditate. And that's like saying, I'm too dirty to have a shower. So that's exactly why you should meditate is to help to tame that monkey mind a bit. And another myth is that when we meditate that we're supposed to have this totally clear mind. And a lot of people think, again, from that place of self-compassion, they start judging themselves. They're like, oh my, I can't get still and I can't get my mind to calm down. I'm getting distracted too much. I'm failing at meditation. There is no failure to meditation. Like if you literally just sit and you're using a guided meditation, you set that timer for 5 minutes and you just sat there and you relaxed your body and you're aware of your breathing for a bit, that's meditation. And just knowing that every time you sit that you will start to train your mind to just settle a little bit more each time. And your mind will always be producing thoughts. That's what it does.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the more you meditate, the thoughts won't be, it won't be like a full on monkey party up in the brain. It will be, it will start to settle down to more of like a cocktail party or something. So when you feel that place where you're getting frustrated within your meditations, that's where I think you need to bring in a lot of self compassion and just say to yourself, you know what, I'm sitting like this. I'm just going to focus on just relaxing and be aware of my body. And maybe instead of focusing on your mind, you start to become aware of your body and do a bit of a body scan, feeling the weight of your hips into the cushion, feet on the ground, hands in your lap. So get super grounded in your body instead of even worrying about what's going on in your mind. And if you are focusing on your mind, just know that your thoughts are like clouds going by through the sky. And some days it's going to be almost a bluebird day with just a few clouds, and other days it's going to be a full-on storm. And so when you have those really stormy meditations, maybe you can use the opportunity to just check in with yourself and go, why is my mind so stormy, so busy, overwhelmed, anxious today? And it gives you a time to just contemplate and try to figure out what's going on in your life. It's like, okay, I need to have a conversation with that person I'm having a difficulty with, or maybe I shouldn't have a triple espresso right before my meditation, or, basically meditation is going to just have a tea with yourself. It's just getting to know what's going on with yourself, what's going on in your mind, your body, your emotions without judgment. So just really let go of that judgment and just be totally loving and accepting and okay, whatever's going on. And, I would try to sit through those 5 minutes, but if you are getting really frustrated, then that's when you should get up and do some mindful walking instead. So do your last 3 minutes doing the mindful walking, one step, one breath instead of sitting.
I really like that because my takeaway there is no two meditations will ever be the same. From day to day, from week to week, depending on what is going on in your life at that present time, your meditations will change. And that is a very, very important message for people to hear, right? Because we have this, again, going back to the grand elusivity of meditation. We think it has to look a certain way. We have to do this, we have to do that, or else it's not meditation. That is the kind of thinking that causes us to fail right from the get go. So, I want to talk about meditation best practices. I'm assuming, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I assume that the environment that you create for yourself, and now I'm talking about your physical environment, the space that you meditate in, all of these contribute to how well you meditate, the regularity of your meditation. Is that fact?
Mhm. Yeah. So the Zen master that I've been studying with over the last couple of decades, Thich Nhat Hanh, he will say things like, we have eating rooms, places where we go to eat. We have television rooms. He said, what about a breathing room? We should all have a breathing room in our home. And my husband and I, we don't have children. And so we have an extra room that we actually have as our breathing room. So it's where we do our meditation and yoga practices. And within that room, we have an altar set up. An altar is just like a little special place where we have a candle and meditation bowl and some favorite rocks and just some things that are special on that. So when I start my meditation practice, I'll actually light my candle just to sort of initiate, okay, I'm going to drop into meditation now. Um, but a lot of people don't have a whole room for a breathing room. So over the years, it's been great, just the creative places that people have come up with. So one of my friends, she actually meditates like on her dresser, looking out the window. Other people will be their walk-in closet or the walk-in bathroom. That's the only place to get away from their children. Other people will be their favorite chair in the living room or a space in their spare bedroom or office. Or it could be in bed, but if you are meditating in bed, I'd encourage you to sit up against your headboard versus lying down. Because if you're lying down, you're going to have way too much monkey mind and probably fall asleep. But definitely to create a regular meditation practice and set yourself up for success, you want to go to the same place every day. You want to have that set up either with a meditation cushion or it could just be a chair. All you're looking for is a nice upright spine. So you don't have to be sitting cross-legged on the ground. You can be on a chair with that or a meditation bench. And you want that space to be special. You don't want it to be too cold. You want to be drawn to go to that space. And when you go to the same place every day, your mind, your body, and your soul knows, okay, it's time to meditate now, and you can drop in a lot quicker. So you want the same place, same time to really help to set up yourself up for success.
Interesting, interesting. Walk-in closet, walk-in bathrooms.
Oh
You
yeah.
never think, but like you said, it's wherever you can get that peace and quiet for yourself, some alone time, right? Um,
Mm.
Now you said same place, same time. That is a great segue to my next question, and it's a question that I see so surprisingly often. And I'm not, you know what? It's actually not surprising, because the question usually comes up: is the morning the best time of the day, or is the nighttime the best of the day, best time of the day? And I see the merit behind that question because, for me, anyways, I meditate in the morning because it sets a great precedence for the rest of the day. However, right before bed, I feel like my mind, because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner. A lot of the time, right before bed is when my mind is the busiest. So, in your opinion, is there a best time of the day if you could only do it once a day?
Any time of day is the best time of the day. So the most important thing is to actually meditate and try to do it once a day. And to find the time of the day that is going to work for you and work consistently for you is the best time. Um, And on that note, I personally feel that mornings are the best time for myself. And traditionally, throughout history, all spiritual practices, whether it's meditation, yoga, qigong, tai chi, etc., they're all done within the first 2 hours of awakening in the morning. And so I think that there is a lot of merit, like you're saying with your morning practice, to meditate in the mornings, because similar to what I said earlier as well, when I meditate in the morning, I feel super grounded and stable and take that stability into the rest of my day. And so I love kind of filling up my own cup, feeling centered, and then I find my day goes a lot smoother from that place. And
Hmm.
I really believe that the way we begin our days is the way our day unfolds, and the way we live our days is the way we live our life. So starting off our mornings, with meditation is very powerful. But for some people, they're too tired in the morning. The kids are up. It just doesn't work for them. So for that's why it's so individualized. So they might find at lunch is their best time to meditate, or they know every day at 2 o'clock, or right when they come home from work, or before they go to bed. And I also agree with you. There's a lot of benefits to meditating before you go to sleep at night, especially for people that have trouble sleeping. If you have a lot of that monkey mind going
Hmm.
on, you can really just calm down your mind and get into the present moment, which is going to help with your sleep. So what I will do is I do my seated meditation practice in the morning, but when I get into bed at night, I will always do some deep breathing. So this is like lying down, so it's not a formal
Sure.
upright mindfulness meditation. It's more like a deep relaxation. I'll do some deep breathing, I'll do a quick body scan, and just go through my body and really relax my body, which will help with the sleep too. So again, most important thing is do it anytime during the day, but find the time that works for you and stay with it consistently.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that first thing in the morning when you wake up, that's also when your cortisol levels are at the highest. So the meditation helps bring that down. That's what I believe I've read, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. It's also good to have some high, you do want to have that cortisol level a bit up in the morning so you actually have enough energy to get out of
Mm.
bed and get moving. But the meditation would just really help to stabilize that cortisol, and
Uh,
and instead of it being like a kind of energy, again, when a lot of people think about meditation, they think about just being really calm and relaxed. It's hard to be productive and stuff when we're like, ooh, like this, right?
right.
But meditation actually balances out your nervous system. So it will find that balance between the sympathetic, that fight or flight place where your cortisol and adrenaline levels are high, and where it's too low. So we want to be moving through our days in a calm yet alert state. And that's what meditation would do. So again, it will help to kind of stabilize and balance out those cortisol levels so they're in a good state, so you can be alert and coherent. And that's when we're going to be most productive and creative and everything from that place.
That's a great clarification. A certain amount of cortisol and stress is vital to life. We need it. We need it. Um,
But not too much. It's
not
about
too
finding that
much.
balance, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, if another thing that people are going through now, if you're always in this anxious, stressed, fearful state during this pandemic, then you're going to crash down to feeling exhausted and depressed and unmotivated. So that's why we need this practice to keep our energy in that sweet spot, so our energy is not too high and not too low.
So it regulates. That's probably the word
Hmm.
we're looking for. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
perfect.
so earlier you made reference to guided meditations, and I know that you offer a guided meditation yourself. Is that correct?
Yes.
So let's talk about guided meditations. There's a lot of options out there nowadays. The most popular one probably being Headspace or what have you is an app on your phone. But let's talk about guided meditations in general, how they work, why they work, and then of course let's talk about yours.
Okay. Yeah, when I'm first working with people, whether it's one-on-one clients that I'm working with, my mindfulness meditation clients that I coach from all over the world, or teaching classes or leading my retreats, when I talk about the guided meditations, I will often recommend that to people that are beginning with meditation, because again, the monkey mind, if we just set a timer for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, there's a good chance that you would be aware of your breathing for maybe about the first 30 seconds. And then your timer might go off 5 minutes or 10 minutes later, and you'll realize you just spent that whole 10 minutes planning out your next shopping list and what's going to happen next weekend, or that whole time your mind was just gone and you actually forgot to meditate that whole time. So when you use a guided meditation, whoever's leading the meditation, their voice is like what we call a bell of mindfulness. It's a reminder to come back to the breath, to come back to your body, to come back to this moment. So throughout that 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you keep getting called back to the moment through the person's voice.
Mm.
Um, and each time we do that, it's like a bicep curl for the brain. It's actually strengthening our ability to keep coming back and being more present so that we can start doing that more on our own. And, some people, even though they've been meditating for years, they still like using the guided meditations. And other people, after they've been meditating for a while, they like to drop the guided meditations and just meditate on their own, focusing on their breath, um, and or their body or whatever their object of concentration is, a mantra. So it's really personal. Even some people right off the beginning don't really like the guided meditations. For them, they're better just to set a timer. But as far as the guided meditations go, there's so many great apps and podcasts and stuff out there. So what I recommend to people is to really try out some different ones, to find a voice that you like, a style that you like, a length of time that works for you, and then just drop into those ones for a while, and then you could change it up afterwards with someone else or a different style. um, yeah, I definitely recommend Headspace to a lot of my clients. Calm is another one. My mom and dad, they've had over 700 meditations now on the Calm app. I'm so
Wow,
proud of them.
that's
Although I think
huge.
my mom sleeps to half of them, but
She has it on.
but
She's
I'm
aware
so
enough to
proud of them.
start them. Yeah.
Yeah, so they show me they'll send me screenshots and they're like, we've been meditating for this long. So it's great. And then, yeah, with my meditations, if you're interested in getting them, you can go to my website, which is balancequest.com, and you can download my guided meditations. And I have over 80,000 downloads now of my guided meditations. I just, the
Congratulations.
other day, I'm like, oh, it's over 80.
Wow.
And within my meditations, I have different lengths. So I actually even have like a 3 minute and 5 minute ones, 10, 15 minutes. I have the mindfulness meditation ones. I have a gratitude meditation one, a loving kindness, which is a compassion one, which is, again, really powerful for a time like this. And that's the other thing about meditation is it's not just about um, getting into the present moment, but it's about starting to infuse those moments with more positive emotions and more positive feelings. And I'm also a certified HeartMath coach and trainer. So it's heart and then math is in mathematics. And what the HeartMath Institute has found is that when we start to bring more gratitude, appreciation, and compassion into our meditations and into our life, it will change our physiology. It will balance out our nervous system, help us think more clear, change the hormones that are being released in our system. So that's another thing that I really encourage people is to really start to bring more of that gratitude, looking for what's right versus what's wrong into your days, a lot of self-compassion, compassion, understanding to others.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it unbelievable how your thoughts really, really they manifest into, physical beings. It's unbelievable. So the things you think about, and of course, meditation, the presence, they will all contribute to the way that you think, the things that you think about, has such a huge, huge impact on your life. Now,
Mm. Yeah, can
yeah,
I
go
just
ahead.
hop in for a second? So I should say, so our thoughts will really create the emotions, and then the emotions will really change our
Right.
physiology. And so, yeah, and I really believe that our minds create our reality, and you can have two people in the very same situation and they're having totally different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So, mindfulness will really allow us to actually be aware of what our thoughts are. And if we start to notice we're having a lot of negative thoughts, then we can start to auto correct them and start to shift those negative worry, anxiety thoughts into more feelings of trust and and faith and positivity. So that's another reason why mindfulness is so powerful,
Mm-hmm.
and the meditation will allow us to really do that shift. And I also, as well as my guided meditations, if people go to my website,
Mm-hmm.
I have a program coming up starting on April 14th, and it's called the Calm Mind Program, where it would go for 5 weeks, so 10 different sessions. And I'll be talking a lot about how you can work towards, taming that monkey mind, but also bringing in more of those positive emotions and, different habits you can bring within your day to really keep yourself a lot more grounded and stable as you move through this challenging time right now.
Can you send me those details? I'll make sure to put
Yes.
them in the show notes so they can find them.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, for sure. And I've taught the program before, but I'm doing it at 40% discount right now
Oh,
for people.
okay. That's to accommodate for the times, and I'm sure
Yeah.
financially people are they're struggling right now. So
Oh,
that's
for
that's very
sure.
very generous of you. Um, let's take a quick deviation. We've talked a lot about mindfulness, awareness, presence. I want to talk about productivity.
Mm,
Now, not just exclusive to now in the state that we're in. I know a lot of people struggle with feeling unproductive. Now it's amplified, right? Because you're stuck at home, you're stuck in self isolation. You might be getting up, sitting back down, getting up, going to the pantry, sitting back down, and you don't know what to do with your day. How would you say, or how would you draw that correlation between being mindful or finding that mindfulness through meditation, however you find it, and its impact on productivity?
yeah. So it's huge for sure. Um, so I'm a life coach as well as a mindfulness coach. And,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's both. So from a life coaching perspective right now, I think it's crucial that people have structure to their day. So I know even for my husband, myself, we actually have set a schedule. We get up, do our yoga, meditate, have breakfast, and I actually needed to add in like have a shower and get dressed, because what I found was for the first week, I was like, there's a couple days where I'm like, whoa, it's like 2 in the afternoon and I still haven't, gotten dressed and had my showers. So I actually added that into part of my schedule. Was like after breakfast, like have my shower and then get dressed right then. So that's just one example. But when it comes to work, it's kind of a similar idea. Like you actually have to set some structure. I've been an entrepreneur for many years, so I'm kind of used to structuring my days. But what I like to do is chunk out my time. So, for example, I'll even set a timer and say for the next hour, I'm just going to return emails, and I'm going to hammer through as many emails as I can in this 1 hour. So I almost gamify it a bit for myself. That keeps me a lot more focused and cut out all other distractions. So all other notifications are off, and I just focus on emails. And then it might be I move on to returning some phone calls, or I'm working on a project. So if I have a project I'm working on, I may chunk out even 2 hours. I may let my husband know you can't interrupt me because I'm super focused on this project for 2 hours. And same thing, do that. There's a lot of research about distractions. And if you get distracted either by a text message coming in, a phone call, an interruption by someone else, it to get back to that same level of focus can take anywhere from 2.5 minutes to 23 minutes. So that's what the University of Irvine, California has found, like through the
Wow.
research. So we're losing a lot of time by being distracted. So you're way better off to just really take those focused chunks of time and almost like make yourself sit with no distractions during that time, and then gift yourself the break to go into social media or go outside or
Mm-hmm.
have your lunch or whatever it might be. But my number one thing would be to really turn off all your notifications and put your phone away, and like literally put your phone in another room, because people are so addicted to their phones right now
Yeah.
that even though you say, oh, I'm not going to check anything, if it's anywhere within your arm's reach or even in the room, you will catch yourself scrolling through Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. So,
Absolutely. Even on my phone is perpetually on silent. However, when I get a message, the LED light will still blink, or my screen will pop on, and it's the distraction, even for someone like me. So I totally agree with you there. Now, what's really
Yeah,
interesting? Yeah, go
oh, I
ahead.
was
Yeah, yeah.
just gonna say, even the vibe, what they found with research is, yeah, even that light flashing or even your phone vibrating will pull you out of the present moment and
Yeah,
distract you because your mind is like, oh, what's going on there? And every time we get that distraction, it actually releases cortisol and adrenaline to our system as if there was like a bear chasing you. So we're constantly in this fight or flight state, which we need to start to really turn down during a time like this.
for sure. And for me, one of my life hacks, if you will, is I use Microsoft Outlook for my emails. I've turned off that little bubble in the bottom right hand corner because every time I see a little envelope, I'm like, oh, I have a new email. Or, yeah. And it's that instant gratification, right? And no matter how good you think you are at blocking it out, it still disrupts your focus, that mindset that you have, right? So, whenever you can, turn off those notifications and trust that the majority of the time there's nothing dire going on, right? They can wait. So going back to what I was about to say earlier, the whole concept of time is so interesting because it depends on the context. Because you were saying earlier that we have 1,440 minutes a day. So yes, you have 5 minutes for meditation. You have plenty of time for meditation. But when you frame it in a way such that every time you get distracted, it takes you 23 minutes to get back into your mindset or get back to your focus, then you actually don't have that much time in a day, right? So really, really depends on how you look at it.
So,
Um,
well, and I really think that what mindfulness meditation does is it allows us to start to move through our days with that true sense of presence. So then we start to move through our day in a flow state instead of this frazzled, distracted state. And when we move through our day in a flow state, we're fully present with whatever's happening in this moment, and then this moment, and then this moment. And so then it's amazing how we actually even feel like we have more time in our day because we just drop into that flow state, just like a musician would or an artist would. But we even can find that within our, returning emails or working on a project. When you really cut out those distractions, stop any multitasking, and just drop into that flow state, it's a beautiful place to be.
so just to take a small segue from that flow state, um, you put us through a very fun little exercise. A lot of us, we have this task list, right? We start the day, we have 20, 30 things on our task list, and you think that you could knock off five of them at once. So, multitasking. Let's talk about multitasking. I know this is a little bit of a deviation, but it was a fun exercise. I want to get your thoughts on multitasking and why it does or doesn't work.
Yes. So in the 90s, if you were applying for a job, it was good to put on your resume, I'm a good multitasker. Now it's not cool to put that on a resume because there's way, 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 way too much research out there that shows and actually proves that when it comes to cognitive multitasking, that it doesn't work. That if you are multitasking and when you're doing cognitive work, it will decrease your productivity by about by about 50%. It will increase your errors by about 40%, and it could take up to almost 2 times longer to actually get things done. As well, it will increase your stress and decrease. I can hear you now, but you were frozen there for a
Yeah,
minute.
yes, you were frozen as well. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, you were just talking about multitasking, and I lost you completely. So you want to repeat that?
Okay, sounds good. So basically, with multitasking, first of all, there's no such thing as multitasking. Our mind can only do one thing at a time. So what we're doing is we're task switching. We're switching from one focus to the other, back and forth. Every time we do that, we lose time and we lose productivity. So that's why we're way better just to drop in and get 100% focused on literally doing one thing at a time. And you'll find that your productivity is going to go way up. You're going to make way less errors, and it's going to take way less time to get stuff done. So the whole reason why we multitask is save time, but actually it takes more time. So no more multitasking.
Did I lose you again? Oh, there you go. So you had put us through a very fun exercise. You asked us who here thinks they're a good multitasker. My hand shot up right away. I'm one of those guys. And needless to say, after about 5 minutes, I stood corrected. So, do you want to quickly, just very, very quickly, very briefly, describe that exercise you put us through, just so they can try it at home?
Oh, yeah. So this is a fun exercise you can do. And what you would do is you'll need to get your phone out and have your timer ready. And then get someone else to time you. So it's good if someone else is timing you. And what you're going to do is you draw two lines on a piece of paper. And then whoever's timing you, they will say go. And you will write on the top line, I am a great multitasker. And then on the bottom line, the numbers 1 to 20. The person that's timing you will say the time every 5 seconds. And then when you finish writing both of your lines, you write down whatever time that was. So, for example, it might be 20 seconds. So you will write down that time. And then your timer will start over again. And you'll flip over your piece of paper. You'll draw your two horizontal lines again. You're going to do the same thing, except for you're going to alternate lines this time. So you're going to write in the top line, I1, A2, M3, and you're going to go all the way through. The person will be reading the time out every 5 seconds, and you'll write down the time at the end of the second one. And then you compare your times between the first and the second time. And what are they probably going to find with that, Vu? What did you find?
It took much, much longer. Although I lied about it a little bit, a little bit. I
Busted.
adjusted my time just a little bit. I elbowed my neighbor. I was like, look, it's about the same time. She's wrong. But internally, I knew. Internally, I knew. It was about twice as long.
Yeah, and the majority, when I got people to put up hands, like with your group and with any group, I've done this to like hundreds of corporations in the past. And everybody, when they do it, for most people, it takes about twice as long to do that when you're jumping back and forth, because again, our brain is taken out of that flow state and it gets into that task switching state, and you lose time.
Absolutely.
It's a fun exercise. You got to try it, everybody. Let me
It
know how
is.
you
It is
do
a
with
lot of
it.
fun.
Send me a note.
I highly recommend it. Okay, so let's talk about you a little bit,
Oh,
Tracey.
just wait.
Yeah, yeah.
What I'll do is in the notes, we'll add that to the multitasking exercise, and then
Sure.
you can just write down, I'm a great multitasker. Yeah.
I love it. I'll definitely do that. Okay, so let's talk about you a bit, Tracey. When times are ideal, you do your work in corporate settings. You do a lot of life coaching, all of which is fairly personal, in person, physically present. Now, in the midst of all of this, you've had to shift your practice a little bit, so a lot of it is virtual, which is just as great. How does somebody find you, both now and later on when things get back to normal?
So yeah, I've definitely done a shift to go more into the online world, and the number one place where people can find me is my website, which is balancequest.com, or you can also find me on Instagram. Balance Quest is one of my accounts, as well as Mindful and Happy is another one. On Facebook, Balance Quest is my website there as well. So Balance Quest Wellness, or my name, Tracey Delfs. But going to my website at balancequest.com, then you can see I offer a number of different styles of coaching. So I'm a life and mindset coach, a stress management coach, a mindfulness meditation coach. And then I do all my corporate mental wellness and mindfulness trainings. And with the corporate, yes, it used to be in person. So I'm used to going into corporations and speaking to many, many people in a room. And same with my meditation classes that were corporate, where, working with people in a room. But now I've taken those all virtual. So just the other day, I was supposed to be doing a presentation live with a group, a stress management presentation, but instead we did it on Zoom, and there was almost 200 people. So 25% of the organization came onto that call, and it worked out really well, and people could ask questions, and it was very interactive. And then same with my meditation classes, my corporate meditation ones. I've moved those all online, doing them virtually. I have other presentations and workshops coming up as well.
Right.
So yeah, so later on, I'll be back into the real world
Yeah.
and out there. But with my coaching, I did most of it virtually, anyways, via FaceTime, Zoom, or the phone. So
And you said you have a course coming up. I think you said April 5th?
April 14th. So yeah, so April, oh no, it's good. It's so good. April 14th is when my Calm Mind program begins. And it will be Tuesdays and Thursdays for half an hour at lunch. And you can come to the sessions live, which is great because then you can ask questions, etc. But there will also be lifelong recordings of those. And basically in that program, I bring 20 years of experience of mindfulness and meditation, of my HeartMath, stress management training, life coaching, mindset coaching, and bring them all together. Just really aimed at helping to support people right now, to give them as many tools as possible to support them through this challenging time. So I'm really excited about the program and some of the people that are coming into it.
And for those who aren't part of a corporation and who are not ready to commit as an individual, do you do anything for groups, say groups of friends or something like that?
Oh, you know what? That's a really good idea. And because I am used to doing that live with people, as I
Mm-hmm.
will go in and do a mindfulness presentation or a stress management presentation to a small group of friends or family. But virtually online, you could totally do that. So yeah, if you have a handful of friends, or if any of you have a handful of friends, what we could do instead of what I would charge for my like one-on-one coaching is we could work out a deal and then just do it as a group. So it'd be way more affordable at a time like now to do it with a group. And then that way, and it works so well with Zoom. I've been having a lot of Zoom parties with my family and friends. And so the platform works great. And then you have it live, and then I can send the recorded version as well. So if people are interested in that, you can just go to my website and send me a note. Another thing about my website is I actually have a mental wellness resources page where I've added on a lot of extra links from the different teachers that I've studied with over the years, the different mindfulness and teachers that I've studied with over the years, that is really helpful information for a time like now. And also my website is where you get the information to register for my Calm Mind program too.
Great. Yeah, the reason I asked that question is I know with things like this or exercise, sometimes first timers have that barrier and they feel a lot more safe when they enter with friends or somebody that they know and trust. That's all. So,
Well, and what I love about that, just like exercise, and my background actually is in the fitness industry
yeah.
many years ago too, is we know that when we have like workout buddies, we're going to be way more accountable to our workouts. Same
Mm-hmm.
with meditation. That's what I love about this idea is if you can have at least one other person or more people holding each other accountable, it will skyrocket your success. And then you can chat with each other about what are you finding difficult, what's working for you. So I think that's a brilliant idea to have like little mini group sessions. So thanks for that idea.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. Okay, so one final question for you, and it's a question that I ask all of my guests. What does it mean to you if an individual is living an evolved life?
Mm. So when I think about evolved, I think about becoming more conscious, more awake. And again, going back to wisdom of my Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh, he really believes that enlightenment or becoming fully awake is just about being fully present in this moment. So if you are fully here in this moment, then you're enlightened and you're living an enlightened, or what I would call an evolved life. So that means being fully present when you're talking to the people that you love, fully present when you're eating your food, fully present when you're going for that mindful walk. Whatever you're doing, you're being there 100% with your mind, your body, whoops, and your soul. And to me, that is being an evolved being.
I love that. Thank you so much for being on the show. I you know what? I learned quite a bit there.
Yay!
I'm not surprised, though. I'm not surprised. That's why I had you on the show. So thank you again, Tracey.
You're so welcome. And I want to finish off, Boo, with my favorite quote, which I think
Sure.
I shared with you too. So I'd like everyone to close their eyes for a moment. And it is peace. It does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work. It means to be there in the midst of those things and to still be calm in your heart. That's my wish for all of you as you move through this challenging time right now, to just find that calm in the middle of the chaos, to stay as grounded, as present as possible, to be there for the people that you love, if it's virtually, whatever that looks like, and to know that together we will get through this. And the way we create a good future is by creating a good day today. So take care of your physical, mental, emotional well-being, and you'll be a lot stronger as you move into the future. So thank you so much for having me, Boone.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
And that gave me shivers. That was a fantastic way to close the show. Thank you so
Mm,
much, Tracy.
okay, thank you.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of My Evolved Life. If you found any value at all, and I know you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button below so you're always notified of new episodes. We'll be releasing a new episode every single week. So until next week, live an evolved life.